Namaste. You know what most people don't get? That storytelling is not just about content, it's all about changing lives, it's all about healing, it's about creating a space where you can feel seen and heard. In our second episode of Understanding Views on Women and Men, we sat down with Eunice Acan from Uganda. She grew up in post conflict Uganda, started building a platform for youth by giving up her friends, her comfort, her sleep, just to create a space where youth can get empowered. She told us that big dreams require brave hearts. And when you die, don't die as a person, die as an institution. In this conversation, we spoke about what makes a story truly unforgettable, how we can earn by doing social cause, what is the hidden cause of chasing a purpose, and what it actually means to lead as a woman in entrepreneurship and film. If you have ever doubted your journey, have felt unheard, or wondered if your story even matters, if you need to understand these things, if you need to understand how social entrepreneurship works and how you can earn money by doing social cause, this episode is for you. Do watch it.
So there are multiple young minds, very people who are in their 20s. They have their inner doubts and they feel discouraged because of people around them because they don't appreciate the work they are doing. So growing up, did you ever feel that your dreams were too big for the world around you?
Absolutely, I did. Let me tell you that I come from a society where big dreams, especially for girls, are often seen unrealistic. Many times people told me to be contented with what I had. You're a dentist. What else are you looking for in life? So when I voiced my interest in the film and entrepreneurship after studying medicine, I faced a lot of skepticism. Yeah. Friends, especially friends and families, they questioned my decision. Some thought I was being, wasteful and rebellious. Even I had a moment of self-doubt myself. I used to wonder, like, what if I'm abandoning stability for uncertainty? Because I didn't know where I was going, but I was very sure that's where I belong. But what I've learned is that big dreams require brave hearts. I chose to listen to myself and I silence every negative noises around me. So when I kept on affirming myself that I'm going to do this, I looked out for mentors, people who had walked similar path with me, and I developed a thick skin that sort of like kept me at a soft a soft spot, and I turned out into fuel, and every no sort of like pushed me closer to my purpose. So it is very important to mention that feeling the fear doesn't, I mean, the feeling of fear doesn't really go away. I still feel it up to now, especially when I'm about to take a new leap, a new project or something like that. But now I recognize that it is a sign it's a sign that I'm growing. If my dreams don't scare me, I usually say it's not big enough. So when my purpose is very clear, my passion will always keep me going, even if when others don't understand the journey I'm walking. So that's the fear I had when I decided to take on this path.
Great. So people most of the time don't see sacrifices the people make, but they see awards. It is a very well saying which I have heard that nobody claps until everybody claps. So
Yeah.
what did you have to give up to become the Eunice you are today?
Wow. Um, how would I say? I would say like that. I think behind every milestone there is a mountain of sacrifices. I had to give up a lot of things like comfort, like comfort of predictability, knowing that at the end of every month, I have a paycheck of 2 million, 3 million as my salary. I had to give up all that. But that was scary because while my peers were pursuing their career and they had very clear careers, I chose a path that was filled with uncertainty. I remember I spent so many countless nights working on on many projects while others are resting. I put all my savings into passion projects that I didn't always gain profit out of it. I mean, financial returns out of it. I missed so many family gathering. I lost friends who didn't understand my journey. And constantly I battled with the burnout. You get tired. And
Correct.
if you don't have a system around you that helps you to grow, it's very hard to recover from that. Uh, I also um I also remember there are moments that I cried in silence because I thought no one understands what I was going through. I questioned myself like, is it really worth it? Is it
Mm.
worth me giving up my comfort, everything that I probably love, but I'm giving out most of myself to other people, to service, to help the youth, the children, the women. I remember living in a tight budget also sometimes while I invest most of my money into community programs. But guess what? Every time I see a child gain from my initiatives, every time I see youth find profound purposes through our training. These sort of things remind me the why I started in the first place. So I think
Okay.
sacrifices always look dramatic, but sometimes saying no to things that others take for granted, um, it's it help builds you. It's putting your mission before the comfort. And while I've also achieved recognitions like awards for some of my work in film and other sectors, to me, what mattered the most is the quiet and the consistent commitment to impact. It's the integrity, what I do while others they don't see, and then all they see are the results. That is what defines me.
That is really amazing, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, in the world which is flooded with content, as you mentioned, that storytelling is something what you always liked. So, what
Yes.
makes a story truly unforgettable, and why does it matter?
Well, that's a story. That's a question I always get. People ask me why film, why storytelling, why not medicine? So I think in today's digital age, saying everyone is creating content, but not every story that is told sticks to the heart. An unforgettable story to me is that one that comes from the heart, the one that reveals the truth, the ones that reveal the vulnerability and the sense of sharing humanity. To me, the story doesn't just inform, it transforms. That's how I see it. I fell in love with the Cinderella world because we used to watch Hollywood films a lot. That was a power of storytelling. I thought that world was there in the US. Now, what makes a story matter is the purpose behind the story. Is it giving someone hope? Is it making a forgotten person feel seen? Is it planting seeds of change? I always ask myself, if no one clapped for me at a theater, would this story still be worth telling? And if the answer is yes, then I know it matters. So when I write or produce a story or content, I focus on real lives, real voices, and I've learned that authenticity cuts through noise. People remember how a story made them feel, you know,
Yes.
not the creative element of how the cinematography was good, how the lighting was so unique. That emotional connections, I think, is what linger long after. So for me, seeing storytelling is not just the performance or the creative aspects, but it is the service. It's about giving a platform to those who never had one. That is, to me, is the power of storytelling.
So, can you share any one story where your film or work directly has changed the life of a person or a community?
Yeah, yes. When I was younger, in my early 20s, that's about 5 years ago, I remember I did a lot of things. That was a time I was so affirmed in what I really wanted to become. And everything that I've achieved today through my initiatives it came through form of storytelling. So if I give an example of a project that we usually do in schools, one we did last year, it's called Cycle of Care. So Cycle of Care, we launch it at different schools. We introduce storytelling workshops, menstrual health education, and skill building sessions. Now, student learns how to make reusable parts, and also we provide materials and they continue productions afterwards. But one session that stood out for me is during that particular project. We happened to meet a 12-year-old girl who quietly approached me after class, and she had been working on, an app called the Silent Question, aiming to address sexual and reproductive health rights for children. This is a 12-year-old girl who is working on something, a very big vision that in Uganda, our society consider it a taboo for a child to talk about sex. So I was amazed by her clarity and creativity and also the boldness she had. So even though people didn't pay attention to her potential until that day, to me, that encounter that encounter was so beautiful because if we were not there to have interactions with these young adults, I wouldn't have discovered this young girl. Now we started mentoring her, connecting her to developers, to work with IT firms to help her shape her dream into reality. Because what she's building is not for Uganda only, it's for every child across the world, every child who lack access to mentors. And this girl from the middle of a ghetto had the solutions. So this kind of thing to me, it's very beautiful. And my grandfather, I remember, once told me that, Eunice, you can never go wrong by doing the right thing. God puts us in a place for a reason. And that day I knew I was meant to meet that girl. So Cycle of Care became a doorway to discovering the future tech innovator in that 12-year-old girl. So that is one of the success story, and I'm so proud of it. And I can't wait for us to launch her project because it's super amazing.
That's great. That is really inspiring, and that will be very inspiring for her to inspire more and more people around there.
Absolutely.
So, what is the hardest part of being a woman in leadership as well as in entrepreneurship and coming out of a surrounding where people do not always appreciate if a woman is coming out?
I tell you that being a woman in leadership means a lot. It means you have to navigate layers of bias, and I felt that. In film and entrepreneurship, people sometimes question your authority, your decisions, or your vision. So you are expected to do more to prove that you belong. So one of the hardest part of being doubted in rooms where you have earned your seat is that I've walked into meetings where my ideas were dismissed until a man echoed them out. But I've also learned to own my voice, instead of being a victim, like I'm a woman, I'm this. So I've learned to echo my voice. I've learned to speak up even when it's uncomfortable for everyone else. And above all, I think I've learned to create space for other women to do the same. You see, mentorship helps us a lot. I intentionally mentor young women to prepare them for leadership. I also partner with male allies who understand the value of inclusion. And the key is not to lose your authenticity. I think the key is to lead with empathy, lead with integrity, and lead as a woman. Because I believe women are mothers, women are builders, and because we have that kind of mother superpower, we have so much ability to lead. But that comes from a perspective whereby, especially in the film industry, I've never had to fight with anyone to prove my worth. What I do is I skill myself. So when I'm right there on that set, I prove to them that I am skilled enough to shoot this movie, to be a cinematographer just like any other man. I can hold even the heaviest camera because why not? That's exactly what I studied to do. So when you build a spirit of excellence around you, your work speaks for you. No one questions you when you're good at what you do as a woman. But I face that challenge a lot being a leader.
You have become a real inspiration right now because the way you think of things to happen, that is really very inspiring.
Yes.
So many of the people have a tendency to think that they can become a social entrepreneur and they can earn money. So is it possible to earn money by doing a social cause?
Guess what? I would say yes. It's very possible. It's actually, you see, just like social work is, I would say, when you're passionate about social service, First of all, it's your mindset that's going to get you out of your comfort zone to go and solve the problem in the world. Now, money is a mindset game. So there's a beautiful intersections between impact and income. Let me give an example. 5 years ago, I started training youth in communities, in different communities in northern Uganda in entrepreneurship. These youth come from indigenous communities. They have not gone to school, you know? And I started training them entrepreneurship, creativity, and business literacy. Then I took a leap because now they are equipped. I began to invest in their small scale enterprises as their business partners. So at the beginning, I funded 12 businesses, and today over 50 businesses traced back to to those first 12. So not only succeeded, but I will tell you this. When I reinvested profits made out of each of the 12 businesses that I ventured into, it's sort of like I realized I was building an ecosystem around the businesses. So the businesses are now solving community problems, creating jobs opportunities, addressing different SDGs, and at the same time we are making money. You understand? So I'm a business partner. So it means our business, just like any other business, is able to make money, is able to solve problem, is able to sustain us. And I think that's what social entrepreneurship is all about. And people should get out of that mindset of social work it depends totally on donors, it's 100% free. No, I think what makes this sustainable is the model, how you make the model. Sometimes storytelling sells the vision, and youth, other people you're targeting to buy into that story. And together you create certain values. That is not charity. Me, I don't like doing charity that much. If I'm creating any project and it has to be charity, I'm doing it to such a vulnerable community who are not able to work for themselves, like young babies, for example. But I like it so much, seeing when you create the mindset of it's a value, it's a value chain, let's work together and solve the problem, it turned into a business with a heart. And by earning through social impact, we ensure that our work is not just emotional, it's economically viable too, so we are not just building youth, or we are not just creating employment, but we are also trying to build a generation of social entrepreneur. Because I believe when someone is addressing a problem using their business, they are able to become the change makers in the world. And that's what we look out for. So social entrepreneurship, you can make money. It's just the model. How do you design the model to work for you? My latest project is called collectivelychristian.com. It's a model that I'm designing within the Christian community, because there's a saying that youth are lazy. They only go to church and say, I receive. What are you receiving? God bless the works of your hand. Money doesn't fall from heaven, isn't it? So I've designed that initiative to help them, to empower them, to equip them with the knowledge and the resources to get out of that comfort zone, so that the God they're worshiping may bless the works of their hands. And that's how social entrepreneurship works. You give back, and you're able to sustain using the same system.
That's really amazing, man. So
Yeah, thank you.
the last question, which I always like to ask my guests, and that is that most of the people who are doing social work or anything in their life, how will people remember them when they are not there in the world?
Wow. I thank God I grew up from a very loving family. We are very empowered at an early age. And my father had always told me, you were born as a child, as a human being, but when you die, don't die as a person, die as an institution. Let people remember you as the CEO of this incorporation. Let people remember you as the founder of this big institution that has solved this number of problems around the world. That's how you die as an institution. So growing up, I had that mindset. And I would say, you are the solution you've been waiting for. You don't have to wait for someone to discover you. Discover yourself. We are all gifted. We are all born with a purpose. And until you discover what your purpose is, you will not know why you're here on earth. You will do everything, run everywhere. At the end of the day, you have healed no results. So every great movement in history has begun with a person who chose to believe in possibility. So to me, I want to be remembered as a woman who turned her pain into purpose, a woman who used her voice to unlock others, a woman who didn't wait for permission to change the world around her. I want my legacy, I think, to be that one of impact, of innovation and inclusion. And I hope someday people will say, because of her, I believe that I could. And
Yes,
maybe because at the end of the day, it's not just about how many followers I have, but it's about how many leaders I have raised through my legacy. I think that's, to me, is everything. And that's how I would want to be remembered.
that will be really inspire for us and for every person in the next generation and the women and the creators who are working day and night for themselves and the community around. Thank you so much for ma'am for being here and thank you so much for inspiring people.
Thank you too, sir. Thank you so much for hosting me. And I look forward to someday actually meeting you, because what you're doing there, it's so incredible. I like what you're doing with women. And maybe someday I will collaborate with those ladies as well.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Can you just tell us about your journey growing up in Uganda and how that shaped you, your passion of storytelling and entrepreneurship?
Hi, Singh. Thank you so much for hosting me today. Yes, my journey growing up in Uganda, I think, was quite challenging. But I was born and raised in northern Uganda in a small community where, storytelling was a way of life. I remember every evenings were spent listening to our elders who used to narrate folk tales. My grandfather was one of those people. Some moral stories and, some sort of real life experiences. And I will tell you that those moments around a fireplace instilled in me stories, deep appreciation for the power of narrative in storytelling. So I didn't just realize at the time that those stories were equipping me with the lens to see the world differently, but also it helped me to recognize the pattern, the emotions, and the values, but most importantly, the hope. Now, growing up in a post-conflict Uganda, because we grew up from a time when, from a region that had 20 years of war, so that post-conflicted region, I witnessed the struggle of people who are trying to rebuild their lives. And I will tell you that I saw the gaps in education. I saw there's so much lack of access to opportunities. So as a child, all of that didn't have a vocabulary. I didn't have a definition for it, but it sort of like left me feeling deeply that there's something that needs to change. Yeah. So that conviction stayed within me throughout all my academic life. And I would say, even when I pursued my journey in dentistry and succeeded, my heart has always leaned towards social impact and creativity. And that's why me transitioning from the world of a dentist into the film and entrepreneurship wasn't instant. It was driven by an inner calling. I felt like I had a purpose in this industry where I am in today. And I realized that while medicine heals the body, storytelling
Mm.
heals the mind and the soul. So my goal became very clear. I wanted to use storytelling to inspire, to educate, and also to transform the people around me. And that's how I began training youth, producing community-based impact content. I started building platforms where stories serve as a tool for change, but also I started an organizations that helps in shaping the narrative of young people in Uganda. But as I tell you, that's um, me, I've learned that that big dreams require a lot. It require brave hearts, especially when you come from a background like mine. Me, um, I chose more to listen to the voice that is within me than to the noise that's around me. So I kept journal. I wrote down all my affirmations that I'm good enough, and I sought out mentors. So To me, it growing up in Uganda shaped the way the way I saw the world and how I aspired to change the situations that was around me.
That's amazing.